Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Justin Young. He's Garrett Tucker. Welcome to the Fast Break here on Monday. Good to see you, Garrett. You doing all right after a busy weekend in Memphis?
Yeah, it was a great weekend in Memphis. There's nothing like those Monday morning, always running in slow motion, especially after an event for sure. So,
I
but no, it was
know.
a good weekend for sure.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. We've been talking about going to Memphis. We're talking about running the Tennessee Jam for years. Kind of like how we were talking about the Bama Jam. I mean, it's crazy to think we've been doing this now for over a decade, 12 years actually, to be exact. And the Bama Jam was an early thought. I know that we had talked about it years ago. Luckily, the Finley Center came about in Hoover, and we really turned up, and was tons of fun to watch that thing grow. This new facility, the Memphis Sports and Events Center, is an unbelievable facility. They've been talking to us for several years about coming up there. We're finally able to get in there and run the Tennessee Jam. And I think for the inaugural event, it was really, really fun. I think we've got a chance to do something really special there in the years to come. When you walked through the doors, like, what was your first impression? Did you have a familiar feeling there to what it was when we launched the Bama Jam years ago?
Yeah, it's that was my first time actually being at that
Oh,
facility. It's very nice.
yeah.
But yeah, that atmosphere, and just seeing, how it is. We see a lot of the same teams, whether it be in Atlanta. So
Yeah.
just it was nice to see some new faces and some familiar faces as well that usually play with us. But I know there were several people that were excited that we were there. For sure. And it was a great opening inaugural event, and something to build on for the future for sure.
Yeah. I think there is something fun to build there. And again, the Bama Jam has become, I know for you, particularly like your favorite event for a lot of reasons why, but it's also one of mine because we know that it's such a great like precursor to the spring. Now, I don't know what the calendar is going to look like moving forward, but I know this year we've got the live period moved back to May, which I think gives us so many weekends now for teams to try out their lineups and to figure out like what's our best lineup and who plays well with who. And I think all these events allow these teams to stack up weekends where you're getting 3 or 4 games to really kind of play with some different lineups and really test your competition. I know that we saw that over the weekend, not just at the Tennessee Jam. We had a great Georgia Cup as well back at headquarters in Swanee. So we had a really fun weekend across the board with hoop scene, and hopefully I'll get a chance to recap that as well with our team from the Georgia Cup. But I want to bring on today, I want to talk about trending players particularly. And now I mentioned the live period. It's about a month away. Who's starting to really kind of stack up some good chapters up to this point. You've had a couple repeat weekends. You saw some new players for the first time. And so I want to kind of go through that with you today on the show. It's kind of talking about some of the top trending guys. I mean, listen, I'll just kind of jump right to it. Team Thad, obviously, they ran the table across the board. So a lot of the guys that we're going to talk about were Team Thad. We've got a lot of other guys that are in there. But I think when you talk about Team Thad, I think you got to start at least a conversation, if not many conversations, with Jasper Johnson. What did I think he's a potential McDonald's All-America. I think he's one of those kind of guys. I think he probably will be in that 25 class. What did he do over the weekend that really stood out to you?
He's just a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
Little bit
Yeah.
of does a little bit of everything, and that's what I mean. He did it both ends of the floor, on Saturday and Sunday. You know, whether it be scoring it, I mean, he can score at the rim with contact. He can let it fly from deep. But and then just defensively, his length and size, he just causes havoc on the defensive end of the floor. I'm with you. There's just a lot to like there. He has a lot of qualities that translate to the next level and beyond. Um, he had a very good weekend, and yeah, you're right. Whenever you're talking about top performers, you've got to start with him. He was phenomenal. On the perimeter, and then Jamarian Davis Fleming on the inside. He
Yeah.
was really good. Just so much length and size there, and he's only going to get better with time. But I think my favorite guy from Team Thad on that 17U group was Jaden Jones.
Okay.
Uh, and so we're not a stranger to him. We've heard his name, seen him throughout the years. But man, he was just all over the place. Played above the rim, just typical. He's a typical Team Thad guy. Gets after it on defense.
Yeah.
Really set the tone for the team. So I thought he had a great weekend as well. And it's something that could jumpstart him, like you said, going into the live periods and the rest of the spring for sure.
I like the way you said that. It's like a typical Team Thad guy, and Team Thad I think has done such a great job over the years of really like establishing themselves as a program that really leans into that grit, right? Like a team that's going to grind you down. They're going to guard you 94 feet. They've got guards that want to play at full accelerator, and they're going to make your life really freaking hard on both ends of the floor, man.
It's a Memphis thing with the Grizzlies, and the grind, like you said,
Yeah,
gritty, grind it out. I mean, and yeah, it's nothing different this year. Um, yeah, they definitely play that persona very well and get after
yeah.
it, and make it a nightmare for other teams.
Yeah, they ran the table, man. They had an awesome weekend for sure at the Tennessee Jam. And again, as we get started with the Tennessee Jam, it's a first time event, so we've got teams from all levels that are going to be there. I'm excited over the years as we grow this thing to really balance out the competitive nature of that event. Hopefully, get teams from different areas, Arkansas, even down from St. Louis, and different areas to come into this city of Memphis moving forward to really raise the level of competitiveness that we have there at the Tennessee Jam. But we have a couple other teams too from like Alabama, teams that we saw at the Bama Jam, teams that I don't know if this has T-Town, Jack Cobb and the T-Town guys, have they played with us yet? Did they play at the Bama Jam?
I think this is their first event with us.
Okay, yeah, I thought so too. You liked what you saw from point guard Jack Cobb. Talk to me about him and what you saw
Yeah.
from the weekend.
Um, he's a typical Vestavia Hills kid. Just knows how to play. But yeah, he had a great weekend overall. I think, especially on Saturday, he was really had scoring some points. I think he averaged about 18 first 2 or 3 games. But even through that, like he's just so good at distributing the basketball, passing, high IQ guy. He was invaluable for that T-Town Kings. And another guy on that team, Tanner Chandler from Mortimer, Jordan. He shot the cover off of it this weekend. Probably the best shooter that I saw all weekend. Very, very good. But it was a great weekend all around for them.
Yeah, they
Um,
had a great weekend.
yeah, I don't know exactly how I think it was 2-2 or 3-1, but one of those losses was the team had, and another one I think was a narrow loss. So, they had a great showing, and I love how we can't do this without mentioning an Alabama team. You know me all too well.
Well, I always have to set you up. Like I'm a good point guard, man. I want to put you in the right position. So, by the way, are you a Jason Isbell fan? Music? I know we probably have a ton of Jason Isbell fans that are watching our stream right now.
I know who it is.
Anyway, okay.
I can take
Well,
it.
he's got a song called Vestavia Hills. So when I saw Jack Cobb come around, I was like so excited that we've got my world and basketball always kind of come together. So anyway, shout out Jason Isbell, Vestavia Hills, Jack Cobb. Thanks for. Anyways, I'm the only guy that gets it. Act like I didn't say it. Whatever. We're moving on. Bryson Johnson was a name too. And again, one of my favorite parts about watching from afar, like I'm watching online, I'm watching on our Baller TV stream, which by the way, if you want to see full game recaps or find some highlights, go to Baller TV, search for Tennessee Jam. All the games are up there. I just checked it right before we got on the stream here. But you're going to want to go back and you're going to want to watch Bryson Johnson. What did you see from him? And talk to me about what he did with his team.
Yeah, so first and foremost, I've been a big fan of Bartlett High School, and they've got a great program. So that's where Bryson goes to Bartlett, and he just had a great weekend overall. Getting to the rim, made some slithery finishes around the rim for that TMBC elite squad. He was just there's just a lot of intangibles there to like about him. Not only his scoring, I mean, he's lengthy, can defend, and just really, man, he gets downhill and causes problems for defenses. Drew a ton of fouls. So Bartlett, I know, losing a couple of guys this year or going into next year, so his role will probably increase for sure. But yeah, it was a great weekend for him as well. And another, from a big, notorious school, that's no surprise. Just another new face rising to the occasion and starting their story.
Yeah, a couple observations too, that you're right. We had a lot of kids from some high levels, mid-South schools, high schools that were playing with us over the weekend. And it was also cool too that I saw a number of occasions where high school teammates were on different travel teams. Like we had a lot of regional teams that were there, whether you're from Nashville, from Birmingham, or from Memphis, that they played on the same high school team, that they competed against each other in the travel stage at the Tennessee Jam, which was pretty cool to see. I don't know how often that it may happen more than I realized, but it was really cool to see like a lot of these social media posts over the weekend that kind of highlighted that. That was pretty neat. I like that.
Yeah, it's the game within the game.
The game within the game. I think you're
Bragging rights taken to a whole different level.
On your top, you put out a tweet on Sunday night, as we always do, like, here are the guys that really stood out to me. Caleb Jeffries was another guy for you in the 2025 class. What was it about him? And tell me about what he did with his travel team.
Yeah, so Caleb Jeffries goes to Houston High School there in Memphis, playing with P7 Elite. He just really jumped off the page. He's just a hooper, man. He's a classic Memphis hooper. Good with the ball in his hands, very creative. Just whatever his team needed, gritty on defense. I mean, he got the job done. He had a lot of pick and roll stuff. And he made some threes as well. So I think he's a guy, may get some D2 love, some maybe a little bit higher. I don't know. We'll see how the things go. But I mean, I thought he was really good for P7. Also throw in a couple of Alabama names there. Jalen Blackwell had a great weekend. It's like he was stronger as the weekend went on. Just a great physical slasher, got to the rim, free throw line. And then Jalen Chandler as well. Jalen used his length, finished above the rim, got the deflections on defense. Just, he's a winner, and he did a lot of that. Showed his winning qualities this weekend. So
were they all on the same P7 team?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. This time of year, I'm still trying to put names with teams right on the rosters. We have so many teams that play with us. P7, they went 4-0 over the weekend. One of the few. We didn't have a ton of undefeated teams. P7 was one of those teams that ran the table that went undefeated as well. You mentioned some D2 schools that should be recruiting a guy like Caleb Jeffries. I did want to bring this up here on the stream. We got a number of people watching us. If you're a travel team coach or if you're a non-Division I coach, I think this is important. We're going to waive. Our goal at Hoop Scene is to always be able to put players in front of coaches, whether it's in digital form on hoopscene.com, on our streams, and our social media, or whether it's in person. And we want to make sure that we can do that in real life too. We really do. We want to make sure that colleges are seeing guys. And so for our Atlanta Jam, if you're a non-Division I school, it is free. We've never done this before. Free. Come out to the Atlanta Jam May 17th to the 19th at Swanee Sports Academy. Free. You get a packet. You get to be there at all the games. Bring your whole staff. We're going to have a lot of teams there that you're going to want to be able to see, and a lot of guys, players, and coaches that are thinking about where you're going to go. Come play with us, man. We got guys that are going to show up with scholarships, that have opportunities, and I think that's ultimately what you want to go play for. So keep that in mind as you're planning out your May 17th to the 19th live period. There's only one of them this year in the spring for all levels of schools, but we're going to waive it for non-Division ones to come out. That's D2s, D3s, NAIAs, junior colleges. So we probably have some prep schools coming through as well. So make sure you can go come out there as well. Coming up here in the coming weeks. So we've got the Grassroots Showcase that's going to be happening up in Louisville, not this weekend, but next weekend. I think you're going to be there for that as well. And one of the teams that I know that will be there that we'll be seeing a lot, which we always see, which we appreciate their partnership with us, that's the Tennessee Tigers. Talk to me a little bit about a couple of their programs. Their 17s had a pretty competitive schedule, and their 16s, I think their 16s are pretty freaking good, man. They went undefeated. Riley McLaren's coaching him, which is pretty cool because he played for them and he played all the
national champion, baby.
Yeah, I love it. It's awesome to see that happen. Talk to me about those Tennessee Tigers teams if you can, Garrett. Their 17s and their 16s. If you watch their 15s too, I'd love to hear about them.
Yeah, so first and foremost, Tigers 17U, just an all-around good weekend for them. But the guy that really popped out to me was Chris Manika. He's a class of 2026 forward, playing up. Probably an undersized four-man, but you can't tell him that because he just gets stuff done. He's just he gets stuff done. A true GSD, our old phrase.
I love it.
And but he was just a hard matchup. What he's bigger than guards and wings, quicker than typical big men. So it was just he was causing problems for everybody guard matching up on him. Played well around the rim defensively. He could guard ball screens, and just there's a lot you can do with him on the floor. So thought he was good. Camden Days, I believe that name is
Yeah.
correct. He's another interesting forward for the Tigers. Got some decent skill, can move around. And their guard play was good as well. Had a couple of guards. I want to jump to the 15U before I mention 16U. Kobe Jackson, the point guard for the 15U. He may have been probably one of two of my favorite players from the weekend.
Okay.
Just has the ball on a string, knows where everybody's at. Man, he was spraying it around to shooters, dumping it off to big men. Just played the game the right way. That it's always nice to have those kind of guys. But man, he made those guys go on the 15U team. They had a really quality weekend. And then as far as the 16s go, I mean, they didn't really have a ton, one standout. They collectively as a group. But if I had to choose one, I would go with Cutter Sisk, big man in the middle. I think he consistently averaged a double-double, probably 12 and 10, so 12 and 12, somewhere around there. But he's very intriguing as well. Obviously, he's 6'7", big, strong kid, can finish around the rim, rebounds it well. But he's also a great passer, showed the ability to, hit some cutters on back doors and just find the open man. So all in all, it was a quality weekend for the Tigers.
Yeah, I feel like their teams this year, they have so much more length than maybe I'm used to seeing from their teams. At least watching on the film, I feel like they had a lot of positional guys that had a lot of length to them. Where I know last year's team was such a guard strong team and really good. They leaned into that. But this year's team, I feel like they got a lot of players that can handle switches, that can get down there, grind it out, play above the rim. So it should be a fun group to watch in all their categories this year.
Definitely, for sure.
I'm trying to think of a good pivot here. I want to get in some other guys, but I do want to bring up the Grassroots Showcase. I mentioned that. It's going to be in 2 weeks. It's Louisville. It's the biggest stage there is in the springtime. I know in years past, I think one year we had over 1,000 teams combined, and usually it's us and a couple other groups. I don't think it's going to be quite as big this year because the calendar, I think, with the shift of the life period moving around. But right now, we've already have a ton of teams. We've got triple figures of teams that are already registered for that from the hoop scene alone. And that's one of the things that if you're a team, you want to get some out of area, competition. We're going to have that this year with Ohio basketball, which we're excited about. So go to hoopscene.com/events and go get registered. We'll be taking registrations all week long. You're going to want to get your hotels booked right away because we know that in Louisville, there's a lot going on. This thing called the Kentucky Derby that happens the 1st of May. And I think they have a lot of activities up to the week prior to. So you're going to want to make sure you get that all squared away. If you're watching this right now, as soon as we get done with the show here in a little bit, go book it. Go book your hotel. Go get registered for the event because you want to take care of that. Otherwise, you're going to be staying all the way out in freaking North Tennessee, I think, is probably the closest hotel. Did you stay downtown last year, by the way, or did you stay pretty close?
No, I was a little bit. I was about 20, 30 minutes away, but it was a good spot, though. So
yeah. I remember, I guess it was 2 years ago, or maybe it was 3 years ago now that I think about it. When I went out there, I brought a couple of guys out from the West Coast with me. And we stayed so far away, man, so far away. So I was like, okay, noted. Make sure that you get your stuff booked way in advance so you're not staying so far away. Plus, there's good food, man. Good food in Louisville.
Yes. There's a lot.
Did you get any hot brown? Did you get any hot brown when you're in Louisville? You know what I'm talking about?
I did not, no.
I mean, again, that guy tells you about food. You got to listen, man. You got to take a note. So anyway, so we don't need to make this a Gordon Ramsay show. We'll go back to basketball. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Taurus Bowie. Let's talk about him, man. The guy was slaying it. Did I say his name right? I'm the worst at pronouncing names wrong.
Yes, yeah, Taurus Bowie, that's correct. Okay. And like I said, Kobe Jackson was 1A, and I'm going to say Taurus Bowie was 1B. Okay. Man, you just want to talk about 6'6", long, lengthy, bouncy. He's wired to score the ball. and the scary part is like he's just scraping the surface of
Yeah,
what he can and will be eventually. Um, I just kind of looking things up on the internet. I was totally expecting him to be a top 100 guy. Um, he's not yet, but I think it's just more about everybody seeing him. Uh,
sure,
give it this, here the next month, he's going to be a. I'll go out. He's going to be a top 50, top 75 guy. Just he's got a lot of tools that he's going to be highly sought after. I know Wake Forest offered a few weeks ago. Talked to a couple of college coaches on my way home yesterday afternoon, yesterday evening, and they're like, "Yeah, we love that kid." So it may just be more of, hey, they're going to wait to see him in the spring. He'll land some more offers, but
sure,
just really naturally talented. Um, and the sky's the limit for him. He's got a chance to be really good. Again, that 16 youth ad team. Don't mean to beat a dead horse, but they're really talented. Though in
yeah,
Sam Funches, he had a great weekend as well. Um, they've got a lot of different pieces on that team that are really intriguing. One, make them a good team, and then also, for college coaches that draw plenty of their eyeballs as well.
Sam Funches, if I remember correctly, doesn't he wear like a size 20 shoe?
It's like it gets bigger and bigger. I'm sure. If it's not a 20, it's got to be a not 19 or 18. But I'm going to say it's definitely a 20.
Yeah, I know. I think some of the biggest feet I've ever seen in all my years of watching
He
guys.
Isaac Haas.
Yeah,
Whenever he was in high school, Isaac was a very gigantic person, and he
where's he
punched.
playing now?
That's a good question. I'm not
Isaac
sure.
Hotz honestly was like, I don't know Purdue basketball well. It's not like a team I follow very well, but I feel like he was like the pioneer of like the 7 foot run that Matt Painter had at
He was
Purdue.
right there at the beginning for sure. They may have had one more before him. I can't think of the name, but yeah, yeah, you're right though. He was right there at the beginning of that.
He was an Alabama Challenge kid, right? Did he play for
Yep.
the Challenge back in the day? Who was on that team with him?
William Haha Lee, Devin Booker.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Booker was on
Uh,
that team. Yeah,
who else? I think those were the main. There was throwing a couple others, but yeah, it was a good team.
that was a fun team. Yeah, I forgot that Booker was on that group. Shout out to them, man. We got a big game. I'm big. I got a lot of reasons to root for the Suns out here. So we got the Timberwolves coming up this weekend. So it should be a lot of fun to watch Devin Booker go to work. All right. Did we cover? Oh, Hart Weatherford. I want to bring him up too. Talk about the Shockers too, man. They've had a tremendous spring so far playing with us and Hart Weatherford. I feel like that's a program too where you can just switch the weekend up and somebody else kind of rises to the top as like their top guy. Like that's kind of how they're balanced. What was it with Hart that stood out to you with the Nashville point guard?
Yeah, you're right. Just that Shockers team by committee, whatever, whoever, they just mix it up each weekend. Hart Weatherford, he had a great weekend, shot it well. The lefty, he mixed it up, well too. Whenever people would kind of shade on him on the perimeter, he would just put it on the floor, being left-handed, catch people off guard. And he made some savvy finishes around the rim. But yeah, no, it was another great weekend for the Shockers. They lost one game at Bama Jam, lost another game this weekend to the Tigers. But I mean, between those two events, tip off, they've only lost 2 games in 3 events. And they've been outstanding, and it's
Yeah,
another fun team to watch from that Nashville Murfreesboro area.
yeah. We always talk about like the South and like different areas that are growing. And I still believe Nashville really in the next 10 years, we're going to see so many good teams and players coming out of Nashville really in the next decade. I think it's really about to take off. Not that it hasn't already. I just feel like the volume of it's going to happen way more. So I'm excited to see how that Nashville area grows.
We
Uh,
uh, we talk a lot about Nashville, Huntsville being
yeah,
underrated basketball cities.
yeah,
It's like that whole corridor right there: Nashville, Huntsville, Murfreesboro. I mean that's all. There's some good basketball there. Um, talking Murfreesboro, I'll throw in team movement. They're another
Yeah.
team that's had a pretty they've had a pretty good few weeks with us. Their team movement, Flowers went toe to toe with Team Thad in the 16U division. They've just got a lot of different guys. Just like the Shockers, and that Shockers movement. Flowers game was really good. Movement Price, Jan Kinzer,
Yeah.
he was, he's a nice find. Going to be fun to track him. But yeah, Shockers, movement, two teams from the same geographical area, play similar, and they actually know each other very well. So it was nice to they had another great weekend as well.
I love their brand. I love their jerseys. I love their logo. Really like their program. It's been fun to watch this group thus far here early in the spring. Hopefully we see a lot more of them moving up too. The Bob Gibbons tournament too, I think is one of those things where all these events that we've seen play out so far really, really help us when we start thinking about seeding. You'll see it later on the week. I've been trying to do some updated standings overall across all of our events. And I'll be honest, I'm a little behind, but trying to catch up this week. We don't have any events this weekend, so I'm going to try to really dig in this week and get up to date on some stuff. But I think all these things really help us get the seating in place for the Bob Gibbons Tournament of Champions when we get to that bracket, man. I think it's going to be really fun, which I think should really lend to some really fun matchups coming up here. Less than a month for the Bob Gibbons Tournament of Champions, which I'll be there for that. I've attended the Bob Gibbons event more than any other travel event in my career. I love that event, so I'm excited to be back in Atlanta for that coming up. All right, let's wrap things up here. Give me a couple more guys from maybe the 2027 group, maybe that we haven't talked about that stood out to you this weekend.
Jahari Miller, Team Thad 15U. I think he had 30 bombs both games on Saturday. Just really filled it up.
Big. Wow, 3-pointer. He scored 33 pointers in 2 games or 4 games.
Or 30 points. My bad.
Oh, okay. As I say, man, you got me excited, man.
He did fill. I know one game he had 5 or 6 threes. But so I thought he did really well. Another guy from that Team Thad 15U team, Jackson Gully from Fairhope, Alabama. I've seen him in the high school season, different environment this weekend. Thought he had a good weekend. Just there's a lot to like there: physical intangibles, length, athleticism. So he did well. I'll throw another Alabama name out there: Elijah Wilson from Rocket City Elite. Ran that team well as a point guard. Also scored it. He'll go to Columbia High School, or does go to Columbia High School in Huntsville. Marcus Jones, Chattanooga Elite, stocky guard. Our friend Skylar McFall really liked him. Thought he had a quality weekend as well. And then Colin Higginbottom from Unseen Elite, very, very underrated team name there. He was another guy. He just filled it up. Didn't matter how he needed to score it. He figured out a way. Those were 2027 15U teams, 15U players that had quality weekends, and we'll definitely be tracking them going forward.
Yeah, we're gonna have a ton of coverage on hoopsing.com this week. We're gonna start rolling out our top performers maybe later tonight, hopefully. We got a lot of just catching up to do, and just all of us are dads too, man. We got back into dad life. So sometimes we got to make sure that we take care of our own teams as well. But we have a lot of stuff coming up this week on hoopsing.com. Again, no events for us this weekend. We got a ton coming up. 3 actually next weekend. We've got the Grassroots Showcase in Louisville. We got the Georgia Cup back at Swanee Sports Academy. We got the Florida Cup going on as well down in the Tampa area. So make sure you go to hoopsing.com/events and go get registered. A lot of people watching the stream today. We appreciate you spending a Monday afternoon with us so far. He's Garrett Tucker. I am Justin Young. I almost called you Garrett Young and Justin Tucker. That would have been weird. Justin Tucker, isn't he kicker for the Ravens? Anyways, I had too much coffee. I had too much coffee this morning, Garrett. I think that's why my brain's super scattered. But good stuff, man. I know we got a lot coming up. And make sure you tune in to Hoopsing on X and hoopsing.com. Tons of stuff coming your way. Garrett, appreciate the recap here on the fast break, and enjoy your weekend with no travel basketball, man. Should be fun.
There we go. A lot of baseball coming up.
I love it. Let's go Braves, baby. Oh, where'd it go? There it is. There we go. Let's go
There you
Braves. Chop on. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. Take care.